Today I effed up by getting scammed for $2,000. So I'm a truck driver, and last night I got scammed for $2,000. It happened at the Terrible's gas station, right before Las Vegas. I parked there to go to sleep and shut down for the night. I went down from my truck to walk around and stretch my legs. As I was walking around, a black SUV pulled up next to me, and a rich-looking Middle Eastern guy rolled down his window in a panic. He looked desperate, and his wife was in the backseat crying, with her 2 kids. He was asking for help because his wife's purse got stolen in Vegas, and it had all their things in it, like money and their passports. I saw how distraught this guy was acting, so I took $30 from my wallet, and I was going to give it to him. He pleaded with me that he needed more because he was heading to San Francisco, so he offered his necklace and gold ring. I refused and told him to just take the $30 so I could just go back to my truck and rest. He kept begging me and offering his jewelry. I started to feel bad for the guy, so I went to my truck and got $100. I was going to give this guy $130 for free. I told him I don't want his jewelry, I just wanted to help him and his family. He said he cannot take it for free, and offered his jewelry still, but said he would need more money. This is when I should have just walked away. Call me foolish and naive, but I just wanted this guy to go away so I could rest. So I figured that if I just gave him like $300, I wouldn't feel guilty taking the jewelry, and he could have enough money to make it to San Francisco. He kept pleading and begging and adding more jewelry, and before I knew it, I was giving this guy $750. Then his wife starts crying more and saying that they needed money for new passports, and how it's $300 per person, and that there's 4 of them. The guy offered the last bit of jewelry he had, which was a Rolex watch that he said costed tens of thousands of dollars. This is where I believe my greed got a hold of me, because this guy is telling me he's a rich guy from Dubai, and he doesn't care how much the jewelry costs. He's just desperate for cash so they can make it to San Francisco, and then back to Dubai. I don't know much about jewelry, so I thought, if I gave this guy $1,200 for his Rolex watch, that I assumed was real, because he's Mr. Big Shot from Dubai, I could sell the jewelry, and get my money back at the very least. So in total, I gave this guy $1,950 for 2 gold necklaces, 1 gold ring, and a Rolex watch. I was skeptical, of course, but like I said, I think my greed was clouding my judgment. Once I gave him the money, he began thanking me so much, and prayed to his God, etc., etc. He hopped back in his SUV and drove off. I watched him drive off all the way, till he went to the freeway. I realized something though. This effing guy took the freeway entrance, going back to Vegas. That's when my stomach turned, and I knew instantly that I just got lied to. His whole story was about how he needed money to go to San Francisco. I walked back to my truck and laid down, trying to process what just happened. I was staring at the jewelry, and then I looked up how to tell if a 18-karat gold necklace is fake. That's when I saw a news video on YouTube about people get scammed on the road by Middle Eastern guys offering their jewelry. The news described exactly what I just went through, and that the jewelry these scammers use is obviously fake. I feel like an idiot and can't believe how naive I was to fall for this scam. I never thought I would fall for something like this, especially since I watch scam call videos like Kitboga on YouTube. Edit, I just want to say, although the person that scammed me is a scumbag, there's no excuse for giving $2,000 to a stranger I just met 10 minutes ago. That's just plain stupid, and there's no excuse for that. It's 100% my fault. I'm by no means a rich person, but I'm not going to starve or fail to pay my bills because of this, but it's going to take a while for me to get over it. At the very least, I hope this might help someone recognize if they're in a similar situation such as this one, and get the heck out of there. I took a picture of the watch on my wrist, because the freaking guy put it on me, and I couldn't figure out how to take it off. Edit 2, a lot of people are asking me why I have $2,000 cash on me in the first place. Although this is not a great reason, I play a lot of live poker, so I usually have some cash on me. I am aware that it's pretty reckless, but I do have this money hidden and secure. Today I effed up by getting scammed out of $3,600. I decided that this was indeed an F up just yesterday morning. But this F up was about a month in the making. I'm a Midwest guy in my late 40s who runs his own small business and works part-time at a local university. I'm only able to teach 1 course this semester instead of 2 due to a shortened schedule by the school to lessen bodies moving between classes. In-person learning has just returned to our university. It's a decent hit to my income this year, and I was on the prowl for a side gig to make up the difference. I received an email from a colleague about part-time work with a nonprofit doing work from home. I got the email over the summer. It paid $350 a week for about 10 hours of work over the course of 4 to 8 weeks. This colleague is in a highly trusted position at the school. Though we are not close, I've known her for like 5 years. She's a reliable person. It sounds like easy work, and I get to help my community for a big, well-known, national nonprofit. I reached out to the guy, it could have been a woman, or multiple people, who knows, and gave him my basic info, stuff anyone could look up about me online. At least I did not give up my social security number, or bank info. The guy got back to me promptly. We went back and forth via email a few times as I applied for the job, and lo and behold, I got it. Damn. Now every time I asked about details of the work, those requests were sidetracked with urgent needs of these organizations in my neighborhood. Red flag. I was supposed to identify 5 local nonprofits in my area as part of the application process. I did that. A couple of weeks go by, and I reach out to see what's happening, and the guy gets back to me. The guy tells me they are sending me a couple of checks. I'm to deposit them in my bank account, use the money to support these organizations, and deduct my salary from what's left over. Big red flag. Now this is big, nationwide organization. I look up the guy I'm emailing with, and he's with the organization. We texted each other, and the area code matched the nonprofit's area code, Atlanta. This process seems weird, but maybe it's how they do things. With the pandemic happening, it makes sense this is how to get funds into people's hands that need it fast. The nonprofit prides itself on helping people directly. I could justify this process in my head. I thought about reaching out to my colleague and checking with her, but I didn't. I did not want to insult her with "Is this legit?" email. And damn, I needed the money. Huge red flag. I get the 2 checks, each for $3,950 via FedEx, and deposit one of them in my checking account. It clears in a day, and the funds are available to me. I'm instructed to go buy one $200 vanilla Visa gift card, take pictures of the numbers, and email it to the guy. I do it, though it seems weird. I know, red flag dude. That night, I look up what the card is used for, because I have the physical card, and I can see the transactions. One purchase at Target, and another at Albertsons. Those could be totally legit places for someone in need to spend the money. I convince myself this is totally fine, dummy. Even though my wife and my best friend said it sounded sketchy, I still went ahead with all of this willingly. I needed the money. The next day, I run around all day buying cards for $100 and $500 values from different stores. You know I can't buy too many cards at just one store. CVS, Walgreens, etc. have good policies against that to fight fraud. So yeah, I get $3,600 worth of cards in total, and email the images off to the guy, ASAP. I'm patting myself on the back for helping my community, and I'm making money doing it, all in a day's work. That was Friday. Friday night, I get an email from my bank that says the check has been flagged, and my account is overdrawn. I don't get a chance to call the bank until late at night, and the office I need to speak with isn't open until Saturday. I call in the morning. The very nice lady at the bank tells me the check is a fake and I've been scammed. The bank the check was supposedly drawn from doesn't recognize the account, and they don't look like checks from the legit foundation the check is supposedly from. And I'm on the hook for the money. So, yeah, I was fooled. I spent all day yesterday reliving my mistakes with this scam. The flimsy stories, the amateur-looking certificate of employment, the weak excuses for not explaining how things worked, the unanswered emails and text messages, the urgent needs of my community, etc. I look up the other cards, and all of it was spent at luxury online outlets like Coach and DKNY. I filed a report with the FBI. I'm working with my bank to straighten it out. I got a loan from a relative to cover the $3,600. I checked with the colleague. Turns out her email was hacked a couple of months ago, so I'm dealing with the university's IT department now too. The biggest takeaway is that just because a check clears your bank doesn't mean it's legit. It can take a bank anywhere from 2 days to a month to figure out a check is no good. Some states are different, but in my state, the bank customer is on the hook for the money of an unfunded deposit. Most people don't know this, and that is why this scam works. I always assumed I was a smart guy and would never fall for a hustle like this. I watched too many movies about grifters and scams to ever succumb to one myself, right? Wrong. I spent all of yesterday feeling like a total asshole, an idiot, weak, gullible, and easy mark. I am writing this story as both a cautionary tale and, more selfishly, to rid myself of these horrible feelings. Today I effed up by falling for an obvious ticket scam. So this Tuesday, I will be celebrating 10 years with my partner, and as part of her present, decided I would try to get tickets to see Phoebe Bridgers, her favorite musician. Unfortunately, the event is sold out, so I decided the best option was to try to find tickets online. I hadn't been to a gig or had to source tickets in a while, for obvious reasons, so was surprised that the usual app I used to buy pre-owned items had none available. I then realized that people could be privately selling over Twitter, so I had a quick search and couldn't find anything. This went on for the past few weeks, with no luck, until I noticed a seller commenting under posts, that were looking for tickets. I DM'd them, and they got back saying they had 2 tickets for sale. At this point, I was so excited. After worrying I wouldn't be able to get them, all common sense must have left the building, and I proceeded to ignore 5 obvious red flags. Red flag 1, I checked the Twitter profile to see if it was real, and they had multiple posts about music gigs, as well as retweets that went back over 6 months, so thought it was fine. On closer inspection, it was obvious that this page was made originally by a bot or something, as the retweets are so varied, and the artists, pages they followed, made no sense. Red flag 2, when discussing the ticket process with them, the language used seemed very strange, and when I looked back over it, it was as if they were trying too hard to sound like they were from Dublin, Ireland, where the gig was taking place. Red flag 3, they asked I pay them through PayPal, in pounds, for some reason, even though we were both supposedly in Ireland. I found this strange, but once again I was too excited to question too much. Red flag 4, they told me to use the family transfer section on PayPal to avoid fees on their behalf. This did make me worry, and I offered to pay the money to be safe, but they assured me it wasn't necessary, and sent previous messages between them and others who had bought tickets for other events. This and the next red flag were the worst, and confirmed that I'm a complete moron. Red flag 5, they wanted to wait for the 24-hour hold on PayPal to clear before sending either of the tickets. I have no idea how I didn't find that more obvious, but once again, I must have been too happy to think critically at this stage. After that point, I had to wait 24 hours for the payment to clear before they would send the tickets, and they sent me a timer screenshot and were very responsive to my messages. It was at this time I started to feel as if this was a bad idea, but it was almost as if, in my mind, I was already committed, so did not back out. So, the 24 hours pass, and suddenly the tickets won't transfer, and I'm told it may take time. They keep in touch for the next day, sending screenshots of the failed transfer, and assuring me it's okay. Today I woke up and checked my messages from them to find they had blocked me on Twitter, and I have no tickets in my account. The worst part was, I wasn't even shocked. It was as if I had subconsciously realized during the scam that I was an idiot, but just kept going on autopilot. In the end, I'm glad I only lost €130, but as I'm a student, it's still not great. I told my partner about the whole ordeal, and she just feels bad for me, and also can't believe how stupid I was. I am more disappointed in myself than anything else, as I am normally super cautious about these things, and cannot believe I missed so many obvious red flags. Thanks for watching. We've heard it over and over again, but if it feels too good to be true, it probably is. Have you ever fell, or almost fell for any scams? Leave it in the comments below. The fact that these OPs were kind enough to share this with other people will hopefully bring these types of scams to light, and even if it stops one other person from being scammed, then it was worth it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos.